Mm-hmm. What is up? What is up? What is up, y'all? And welcome to the TikTok community. Welcome to the TikTok community. We normally don't go live with y'all for Wealth Building Wednesday, but we bringing y'all in this week. I am super excited and super grateful for the live that we are about to do. Today's live is Wealth Building Wednesday, and today's live is about the conversations that happen amongst executors. Today's live is written itself today. And so I'm really excited to go into this. So the topic that's listed for this live is how to execute to build sustainable progress. And I want to share today laid out as transparently as possible because I think it's going to do the job for you on its own. So one of the things I really want to start this off with is community matters. Says, hey, how's it going? Community matters. Community matters. Your community, you're surrounding, those people you are connected to matter more than anything. And so I'm going to just start off by telling you about my day so you can understand how beneficial it is for sustainable progress. So I woke up today feeling overwhelmed, y'all. We are a nice couple of $1,000s into advertising for all three events we're doing: Easter weekend, the Small Business Expo, the Ultimate Date Night Experience, as well as the Entrepreneur's White Party. We are thousands of dollars in, not just to advertising, but in down payments and deposits and all these things. And so today was just one of those days where it was like, all right, we need to start seeing a return on investment. And so the concerns, the insecurities, the worries about the success coming as a result of these events, it happens. I don't care what level you at. I don't care how much money is in your bank account. It happens. And it is very normal. If you don't ever question yourself, you never have an opportunity to actually test your theory, to actually test your perseverance, to actually test your capacity to execute despite the odds and to pursue your own dreams. That was a part of why I posted the tip earlier about the fact that no matter how you're feeling, like, go through the feeling, even if it's a negative one, even if you're worried, even if you're insecure, even if you're overwhelmed, like, you still have permission and you still should experience that. Those should not be the things. I don't care how successful a person is. I don't care how wealthy a person is. They go through those moments where they're unsure of their self, where they're questioning the results, where they are wondering if this was a bad idea. And then they go through the steps needed, or the feelings needed, or the connections needed to speak life back into that. That's where perseverance comes in. I promise, wealth is not built by straight self-confidence 100% of the time. Anybody tell you that, they're lying. Okay, so that's what I just want to start off by saying. So first thing first, woke up, I was feeling some type of way. I said, yo, we're a lot of money in. I actually woke up to Facebook deactivating 3 of our ads that were producing the highest engagement, the highest results, the highest share volume. So that, on top of last night, if you tuned into that impromptu live of TikTok's rejecting our ad after it ran for 2 straight days and then suspending our whole ad account, that can start to have an impact on you, especially if you have the analytics that show you what's producing results. And that's one of the first things we always do. We create the infrastructure, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy, if nothing else, to be able to see the analytics on what is actually producing results for us. And right now, our Facebook ads, and even more so our TikTok ads, were producing high volumes of results. It was producing a lot of people texting event to 33777. It was producing a lot of people grabbing the free ticket, general admission tickets to our expo, as well as the traffic to drive more awareness about all the details of the 2 After Dark events, right? So because we saw these analytics, I woke up feeling some type of way. You get what I'm saying? And in the midst of that, I get a call like, yo, you realize we taking on a lot. in one weekend. I didn't realize this was all the same weekend. And so those two things compounded could have been enough to make me be like, well, let's just cancel it. At that point, we were heavily in on the investment side for the marketing and advertising, but we weren't in on down payments for venues and stuff like that quite yet, right? So at that point, it was like, let's just cancel it. But we're already too far in. Too many people know. Too many people are excited. Too many people are invested. Too many people have made plans. We have made plans, and so instead of that conversation, even amongst somebody who's taken on the burden of this with us, it was like, okay, we know we've now taken the lesson to implement for the future, but what are we going to do right now? He was like, all right, we ain't holding back. We taking off the brakes. We ain't coasting. We're going full speed ahead. We maxing out the speedometer. You hear me? That's what we're doing. That is the difference between having that, seeing the problem, realizing how big of a problem was created from making this plan, instead of cowering or allowing for that insecurity to be a roadblock or be a deterrent or be the thing that makes us realize it can't work. Instead, we're going to push ourselves to new limits, right? So that's the first thing. The first part of that conversation was, hey, this is our problem. Second part of that conversation was, how we going to handle the problem? We can throw in the towel or we can execute. And the conversation ended with, we going to execute. Say less. That means we about to do a lot more than we've ever had to do to get the results that we've never even seen accomplished before, right? So that was the first thing. Conversations amongst executors look different. I swear they do. And then as a result of that conversation, there was a follow-up phone call had already put in motion less than 24 hours ago. It's going to open up even more doors and even more avenues to sustain the success of the mission. You get what I'm saying? So so that was the take immediate action thing. It's like, this is our problem. We going to execute. We got to take immediate action now. We can't just say we're going to execute and now get around to it. It's like, no, now we got to take immediate action. So the second phone call is like about media coverage, more media coverage, right? And so that phone call goes from, hey, this is a great idea, to let's get some wheels in motion. Let's start creating the content immediately. Let's put some dates and times on the calendar to start to get the circulation, the awareness, the attention, the support behind it as quick as possible. So that was the second call. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something that you will only know if you were in the room. In the midst of that, I had another call come through. And the call came through from somebody feeling similar to how I was about their own set of situations. And luckily, the media cut that call short before we even started discussing about their insecurities, because the media call revitalized me, right? All the insecurities I was having as I started to execute, the media call lit a full fire back underneath me. I was already, the flame was still going, but I mean, call with somebody else going through their own challenges as an executor. I was able to say, here's the perspective you need to have for that. Here's what you know. Here's the warning I gave you. Here's the opportunity. And it allowed for them to stop seeing it as a problem and start how big of a blessing was folded out just for them. Do you understand what I'm saying? It was a blessing folded out just for them. They ended up getting pricing for opportunity by being an innovator and being an executor before anybody else ever did it. That was like half the price they should have paid. So instead of allowing her to backpedal to the insecurity about, man, that's still more expensive than I was hoping then I'm really in a position to pay, it turned to, all right, let me figure out how to get that money now. Let me make that my tunnel vision focus for the next 5 to 7 days until I have that number that I need to get that task completed, right? Because when you start executing, the other side to it is you have to it's a lot more risk, but the second part to it is the return on investment yielded is way higher than anything you can ever fathom. So instead of focusing on the demands and the requirements of you have to focus on, you literally have to give all your energy focusing on the return on investment or the results that will be yielded from what is being required of you in that moment? What are the results that will be yielded? That's the difference between executors and dreamers. Dreamers, they have this thing, they're just waiting, they're constantly waiting for opportunity, they're constantly waiting for this like sign or this miracle. Executors, they execute with understanding this thing should yield these results. If they don't yield these results, it's going to be a lesson that helps me yield these results sooner. Those are the two perspectives you have permission to have. This will yield these results, this benefit, this return on investment, right? Or it will teach me the lesson I need to be able to yield these results even more effectively, more efficiently, more timely. And the thing about that is somebody sometimes may have to give you that perspective. Somebody else may play a role in making that possible. So it's always imperative for you not to believe that it's all going to be on you. Because as you execute, I promise, it's like people appear or information becomes clear as day that you didn't even realize was sitting right in front of you, right? Because I had that conversation with her. I got off that conversation with her, and then I started talking. We've been getting work done around the house for the last week. Okay, the person who's been doing the work around in my house for the last week, we have known him for at least 2 years. However, today is the first day where, as a result of him seeing the full extent of all of the things that went on, right? The highs and the lows. I went through really high highs today and really low lows today within a matter of like 2 hours. Really high highs, really low lows, right? And in the midst of that, I was just initially the conversation just started by apologizing. I was like, I'm sorry. You're normally here. It's normally real laid back, quiet, blah, blah, blah. He was like, don't worry. I understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur. And that conversation ended. And then I was like, you know what? If he's an entrepreneur, let's pull him out. I was like, hey, you got a wife? That's how the conversation started. You got a wife? He was like, yeah. And so I was like, oh, well, how about you come to the date night event we're doing? And he was like, what date is that? He was like, oh, I got to work. And then that led into a whole conversation about what he does, how he does it, different value he adds, different moves he makes. And I'm going to tell you what's funny about that. Because now he's going to be on one of the Boss Talk Lives from a really unexpected conversation. And that's the difference between executors and dreamers. Conversations can evolve and opportunities can be created without effort. I posted a short clip of him just talking because we were in the middle. We were so deep in the conversation. I said, hey, can I record you? This is gold. This is gold. These conversations that don't happen out loud in front of a shared audience more often than not are typically the conversations that are $1 million conversations. They're life changers. They're door openers. And so our desire in recording, I didn't even share the whole thing. I literally shared like 40 seconds of like a 40-minute conversation that ended up ensuing behind as simple of a question as are you in a relationship? Right? Now we got access to a whole new industry and a whole new market. Lots of education, information, and just opportunities. Right? And it was a confirmation. It was a confirmation on some other stuff because it's a lot going on today and we still had to do today's live. It's a lot going on today and we still had to make plans for other things that have to be done within the next 24 hours so that they're prepared for the media coverage next week. Right? The conversations, executor exchanges probably build more sustainable progress than money will ever be able to achieve. I know if you broke right now, and I know if you only got a couple of dollars to your name, I know if you trying to figure out how you about to cover this bill, It's going to feel it's going to be hard to believe. But speaking as a person who was homeless, living out an old Lincoln Town car that my ex-husband got because it made you look like you had money when we ain't have none, that needed $1,000 in work, right? I promise you, conversations amongst executors open more doors than bank accounts. There will be people to get you spoken of and get brought into rooms that you didn't even realize you had, that it even existed. I'm not even going to say that you had the opportunity to, that even existed. Our whole mission around our company is you don't know what you don't know, but we going to expose you. Right? And then once you're exposed, now you have the option. Now you have to make an intentional decision to either be able to progress from this point or to be held hostage to this circumstance. Off the casual, we constantly post random stuff in our stories on social media. Ways for you to get free stocks, ways for you to get money from doing real passive stuff. Apps that'll pay you for going grocery shopping, even if you shop with EBT. We're constantly doing that because you don't know what you don't know, but there are so many ways, right? To go from not having to having lots. I promise it is. There are so many ways. And the conversation amongst executors end up bridging that gap for you. It ends up bridging that gap for you. It'll get you. I made a phone call today. I said, hey, I was talking to somebody else. I said, hey, tell this person to call me ASAP. He called me. I said, hey, what are you doing? He said, nothing. I said, cool. I'm about to pay you $2,000 to come do these tasks for me. Let's get you to work right now. Just having conversations amongst the right executors will get you put in rooms, get you opportunities, get doors open for you, get needs met, get chances when you thought certain things or factors about yourself were deal breakers, where you thought, because I got a criminal record, ain't no way I'm gonna be able to make a livable income, because I've been evicted, ain't no way I'm gonna get approved for better living, because I've been incarcerated or something, ain't no way I'm gonna have the opportunity to do this. And then facts of the matter is, somebody be like, well, because you can't pass a drug test, ain't no way I'm gonna be able to make over this amount working for somebody. And then something just happens because you're having the right conversations with executors that'll just open up they won't open up a door, they'll open up the floodgates for you, where you now got a better problem and you got to figure out, well, what can I take on, or what do I need to outsource? Do I have the capacity to scale? Can I handle the demand, the good problems, right? And I just, if y'all are still here with me, because I see folks, I just don't know if y'all are still here with me. If y'all are still here with me, put an X in the comments. Put an X in the comments. If you are still here with me right now, put an X in the comments, because I need to make sure this isn't going over anybody's head. I need to make sure that this is actually being understood. I need to make sure that y'all leave here with actionable steps or actionable information that will literally catapult you. One of the most disheartening conversations I ever have with people. We got a text. My team told me we got a text yesterday from somebody who's been a vendor at previous events that said they can't be a vendor because of financial hardship. And that was, I'm gonna tell y'all why that was disheartening. Not because they were going through a financial hardship, but because we've given you so many ways to tap into access that if money is your roadblock at this point, it's because you don't want to put in the necessary effort without it. And if that's the case, it's a don't save her, she don't want to be saved situation, or don't save him, he don't want to be saved situation. And For you to make any sustainable progress, you got to be a part of your own rescue. Put in the comments, rescue. You got to be a part of your own rescue, right? There is no miracle that will pull you all the way out. There is nothing. There is no person. There is no profession. There is nothing that is meant to come and save you completely. You have to be a part of your own rescue. So even if it's not based on your physical capabilities, or even if it's not based on your financial capabilities, or even if it's not based on supplies or resources, you got to be a part of your own rescue. You got to be willing to either take the additional action. You got to be willing to take the additional effort. I'm going to tell y'all some of the things we're doing, right? We just decided to take on this really huge thing, do 3 events in 3 days. 3 different events in 3 days with less than 3 weeks out. Okay? How am I being a part of my own rescue? On top of investing a lot more money into marketing and advertising. Well, the most important thing is people have to know. So I'm willing to let anybody create content using my presence right now. You got a live, you got a podcast, you got a media platform, you got an email list. Hell, I don't care. You got a text list, you got a group chat. I'm willing to create some content for you or get on that thing at the drop of a hat. Just give me a day and a time. I'm willing to show up wherever I need to be at the drop of a hat, right? Because even if I only connect with or reach one person, right? Or even if nobody shows up to that live or shows up to that event right there in that moment, I'm going to add value that makes you want to stay connected to me. And so even if you ain't thinking about the expo today, or even if you're not thinking about the entrepreneur white party right in this moment, even if you're not thinking about the date night right this second, you're going to end up realizing that there's a way for you to stay connected to me that you can actually be actively engaged in. Or you can enjoy, or you can just show up for, or you can get the kids involved, or other entrepreneurs you're connected to that's going to make you want to show up to support them, whatever. You understand? So it's like you have to be willing to stretch outside of yourself. Do a little bit more than status quo. We're already doing more than status quo. How many people you know that you'll see their stuff everywhere? How many people you know you're seeing the bus ads and the social media ads and the radio ads and the upcoming billboards? Nobody. Because they started to see the price tags and they started to be like, oh, whoa, Nelly. Right? But you got to get outside of yourself. You got to stretch outside of your comfort zone. You got to be willing to execute at a new level, at a more demanding level. You got to be willing to do whatever it takes to save yourself or sustain the progression. And that doesn't look the same at every phase. Sustaining the progression means your lows have to be more limited and more scarce to sustain the progression. That doesn't mean you won't have them. It means they have to be more limited and more scarce. And that requires for you to have a lot more faith in what that may require, or take a little bit more risk and what that may require in between. And that requires for you to be connected to other executors that remind you in those moments where you want to head low that you can't stay there. That ain't your end game, babe. We not about to talk about what you don't have today, because you ain't get here by not having nothing. You didn't make it to this level of progress by not executing and waiting for opportunity to come to your doorsteps. You didn't accomplish these goals with this turnaround time by being around people who focus and hone in and settle in their problems. Prime example is the stock market, right? Prime example is the stock market. Whatever your favorite company is, it's probably a public company if they're a bigger corporation. Your Walmarts, your Targets, your Apples, your Microsofts, your phone company, whoever your phone company is, they're probably a public company. I'm gonna just give you a real simple example to look to. Your cell phone is probably made by a public company. I want you to go look at that stock. Not in this moment, but I want you to do it today. That's your marching orders. Go look at the stock for your cell phone company when this live is over. And what you're going to find is if you look at that stock for any amount of time, whether it's a month, whether it's 7 days, whether it's a year, whether it's 5 years, that stock will not go straight down or straight up. So whether your cell phone company is a trash company that's probably about to go out of business soon, or a thriving company that's killing it in the game, it does not go straight up or straight down. It has peaks and it has valleys. However, what you'll notice for the sustainable progressive companies, prime example, Apple, because that's a cell phone company. So I'm going to keep it on the same, right? If you look at Apple stock, Apple goes down. But if you look at its stock over any duration of time, you're going to see not only did it go down, but it went up. And it's continued to go up. So it's not that lows don't happen. It's how long those lows happen are fairly quick. It's really quick turnaround times. And for the sustainable progression, you have to be 100% receptive of the fact that things will go bad, that problems will arise, that insecurities will come, that fear will transpire, that financial insecurity will come, even if you got money in the bank, even if you got a savings account, even if you got an emergency fund, even if you have a good amount of investments. All of that will still transpire for you, because as you have more money, the financial requirements to continue to make sustainable progression with that money also increase. You go from just needing $100 to needing $1,000. You go from just needing $1,000 to needing $10,000. You go from just needing $10,000 to needing $100,000. So you're low in the process to your next high may look like going from, babe, give me two bottles, two big bottles. It may go from holding something like this to having to let this go for a minute, sit it all the way down, clear, open your hands up, right? Because that's the only way stuff can come and the only way things can leave. I mean, you can technically try to cling on to it, but you'll probably destroy what you have in the process. So the only way to let it go or receive it is to open your hand, right? And so your $100,000 got to be set down, let go, either let go to work, either invested, either paying for something as you prepare. Yep. As you prepare for to receive your $1 million. But even if it's for a split second, I had to let this go to pick this up. And if you're around the wrong people, you'll let this go, and you'll give yourself permission to stay empty-handed, because you're not willing to execute in spite of not having this in the moment. Or as you invest this and are waiting for the return on investment, you're literally allowing yourself to be held hostage to the circumstance that is temporary, because it's a part of your bigger plan. It's a part of your bigger vision. It's a part of your bigger goals, right? Or you came from nothing. You just had an idea. You started here. You ended up here, right? You started here with just this idea, with just this thought, with just this plan. And because you had nothing, you were willing to give it your all. Because the worst case scenario is you'll still have nothing, right? And then you finally get to the point where you're here. You got 100,000. You got 100,000. And now you're afraid of what it means to to lose this 100,000, that you either cling to it and it loses value with time and with effort and just life, right? How many people remember when a candy bar was like 25 to 50 cents? Now that thing $1.30. Ain't that what I seen, Thomas? $1.25, $1.30 for a regular candy bar. I said, when the heck did candy bars get up so high? So you cling to this so hard that it starts to lose value in your hand. And you're actually closer to where you started than where you could be headed anyway. Or you let it go and you execute according to the plan while you wait for your million to come. And maybe it's not a million for you. Maybe it's not a million for you. Maybe it's 100 million for you. Maybe it's a billion. Hell, maybe it's 100,000. But 100,000 still needs to combat inflation. So 100,000 is gonna, that number just through inflation alone has to increase some. Or maybe it's not just a single daycare, right? It's a school. Whatever it is, I don't want to make it monetary. I want to make it, I want to make it clear that it's about vision, it's about plans, it's about dreams, and it's about executing despite wherever your starting point is. And it's also about doing it sustainably. Because that is always the goal. I don't care about proving it can be done. I care about sustaining it once it's done. Especially if your why is meaningful enough. You should say sustainable. Put sustainable in the chat if y'all are still here with me. And I'm looking at what you just messaged, Jay, because I don't want to let it be lost. I love that. Jay said he just bought t-shirts for Taste of Soul and NC Sugar Rush. The events aren't till May, but he'll get it back in May. Right? The goal is always sustainability. Like, it really is. This conversation is not for people that are looking for instance, immediate, something that's once in a lifetime. This is not for YOLO culture. This is not that live. This live is for people who say generational wealth and understand that means outliving it. It means it outliving you. That's what generational wealth means. It means whatever you're building is going to outlive your presence. It's going to outlive your kids. It's going to outlive your grandkids. This is who this live is for. So if truly your deepest desire is just to do something for a moment, this ain't the one. We be talking about those sometimes, barely, but we do have those moments where you just want to do something for a moment. But this is to create something that even long after you're gone, it has the ability to sustain, even if it evolves and what it looks like in a structure with time. And that requires being around people who truly, truly get that. And the reason why I say that is because in those moments where you have to go through a low in the process, if you are not around people who truly get that, you will stay stuck or you'll regress. You got to be around other executors. There are only conversations that will empower your sustainability by being around other people who comprehend the bigger picture goal. That's not to say that you might not end up crossing paths with some of those people that just need to live in that moment of despair, frustration, anger, hate, whatever, right? Because your low might not overlap with another executor around you. So in those moments, you might find yourself going through that with somebody that's actually going to stay there. But your goal is to get back headed higher and higher. And sometimes those lows might happen a little bit more frequently. That's why I say experience whatever you're feeling as you feel it. Today I cried. Today I yelled. Today I got super, super excited and started screaming for joy. Today I genuinely questioned everything about the way I was thinking for a moment. And then because it was only felt in the moment I needed to process the full extent of that feeling, I was able to build on it. So by the end of the day, I reached resolutions that had I given myself permission not to try, because of the very first feeling I went through today, I would have never had the capacity to get to. I achieved goals that weren't even on my checklist for today by giving myself permission to go through it as I went through it and then keep going towards the bigger picture goal. And you got to get around people that empowers you to have that perspective even in your weakest moment. Because sometimes that motivation will come from outside of yourself. So that is why I'm really, really excited about the After Dark events, because yeah, a lot of my good and a lot of my bad came as a result of my connections. The media coverage was just contact information I got from somebody else connected to me yesterday, literally yesterday, and that led to my next high. Sometimes you just need to be in the room with the right people. Sometimes you just need to show up to have the conversations that will add that level of value, that level of benefit, that level of growth, that level of additional progress that avails your sustainability to your life. So in the event you're not already connected, already prepared, already aware of the After Dark events, you definitely need to text event, EVENT, to 33777, because I promise you got to be around executors to maintain sustainable progress. You do. And the executors aren't always the same for every phase of your progression. So you have to intentionally get around and stay around executors and get yourself around new executors, right? Who may experience your highs with you or may experience your lows with you. Yeah. If y'all took something valuable from this live, put value in the chat. Put value in the chat. I see something on TikTok, but I'm not really sure how to use TikTok, so bear with me, guys. But if y'all took something from this live, put value in the chat, because we're about to wrap this thing up. I love you guys to life. I hope it was as beneficial to you as we hope that it can continue to be. This one was always about sustainability. Today's live was about sustainability. It was not about nothing else. And it was about the sustainable progress that we don't discuss, the conversations that happen in the back room that truly get us to the place where you see the glamour and the glitz and the progress and the investments and the success that has the ability to have ripple effects. It happens in the back. It don't happen up front and center. But the understanding, the unspoken understanding between people who execute at that level, that needed to be said out loud for everybody. We love you guys to life. I hope this Wealth Building Wednesday, you take this, you run with this, and you take really, really intentional action starting today to get on the path or stay on the path of sustainable progress in your own mission, in your own vision, in your own goals. If you are not already connected. Soon as I end this live, make sure to text event to 33777 so you can be in the room and you connect with those people that are gonna, those executors that are gonna help you build and sustain the progress that you're working towards in whatever area, whether it's business, whether it's personal, whether it's financial, whether it's professional. Um, yeah, it's time. It's time for all of us. I love you guys to life. I'm so excited.